Well, hello, everyone. This is Eric Nevins. Thank you for listening to Halfway There. This is Memorial Day weekend. And so I've kind of fallen into a pattern of just not producing an episode on a Monday holiday because usually the weekends are busy. And so I thought I would share something with you, though, that is meaningful for the holiday. It's a blog post that I wrote, I guess, about 5 years ago to honor my father in law, and you'll learn a little bit about him through the article. But he is definitely somebody that served in the military, and as you'll hear, ultimately lost his life because of some of those experiences. So I'm just going to read it to you. It's titled "Memorial Day: Greatness Still Lives in America." My father in law, Lonnie Ray Brown, served in Vietnam and is the only casualty of war I've ever known. He used to tell stories about things he experienced overseas. He was an aircraft mechanic, meaning he had the good fortune not to be on the front lines of combat. But he did see fire and would recount how sometimes the enemy planes would come flying overhead, shooting and bombing. He spent a year in Japan and even 30 years later still answered the phone in Japanese when he was in a playful mood. At some point over there, he was exposed to Agent Orange. Later in his life, this would take a toll as diabetes, linked by the Veterans Administration to Agent Orange exposure, began to steal his vitality. He lost part of his foot, and with it, his ability to stand for long periods. His capacity to work the kind of jobs he had built a life on was gone. His eyesight was another casualty, so jobs using a computer were difficult at best. Try finding one that does not use a computer but is not on your feet. There was a period of about 5 years immediately after his amputation that was the hardest I have ever seen someone struggle. Lonnie, I never did really take to calling him dad, kept finding jobs and was willing to do almost anything, but job after job ended in disappointment. Still, he kept on. His belief in himself was fierce, his determination to take care of his family deep. He had something to prove, to fight for. That's how I prefer to remember him. Once, when the pressure was building and obviously weighing on him, I took Lonnie out for a beer. No wives, no kids, just hanging out in the booth with some good beverages. We laughed and talked. He had a funny laugh, and his whole face lit up when he did. Laughing took the load off for a bit. As we were leaving, he looked at me and said, "Thank you for this, Eric. I needed it." We were never extremely close, but I hold on to a few moments like that one to remind me how he loved me, and I him. I'll never forget it. When he finally broke down and applied for disability, it was admitting defeat, but he knew it was the right thing to do. He had to do it to take care of his family, and so he did. It humbled him, but he was willing. Lonnie's confidence in God never wavered, though I know he had periods when the questions outweighed the answers. My favorite artifact from his life is a large print copy of the New Living Translation we gave him 10 or 12 years ago. That would be 17 years ago now. It contains notes and highlighted verses by the hundreds. He obviously spent plenty of time with it. I realized I couldn't raise you kids myself, he would say. So he put his faith in God. Just a month before he died, as we sat on the front porch over coffee, Lonnie remembered his time overseas, his childhood, and his own father. He was proud of his dad because he turned down a job taming animals with the circus at an incredible salary of $25,000 per year, serious cash in those days, because he wanted to raise a family of his own. Lonnie beamed like a little boy when he told that story. No wonder he always put his family first. Lonnie Ray Brown went to be with the Lord in the early morning of September 27, 2011. The years of struggle finally finished. It was too soon, and we all thought to ourselves perhaps it would not have been so early but for his time serving Uncle Sam. We'll never know. This Memorial Day, I'm remembering his service to our nation and his devotion to God and family, sacrifices that prove greatness still lives in America. Friends, I hope whether you are doing a barbecue or hanging out with friends or family, that you we'll just remember those who've given their lives to protect our freedom, to give us the things that we have politically, like free speech and freedom of religion, and these things that we all acknowledge are from really the giver of all good gifts, the Lord, but need to be protected by good men like my father-in-law. Hope you have a great day, and I'll catch you next week. Keep the faith.